Welcome to Eye on Horror, Season 2, Episode 4, or Episode 26, which is how I keep track. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is Jacob Davidson. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing well. Happy to be here, as always.
Right on. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You have a rough night last night?
I am sleepy.
But also with us is John Correa. How you doing, John?
I'm doing well. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, all that fun jazz.
Woo-hoo. Yeah. It's last time we recorded, it was pouring down rain. Today, it is a beautiful California day.
Oh, sun shining, birds chirping, people complaining about It's a beautiful day outside.
We actually took kind of a week off. We're a week off schedule because we all had to go see Godzilla. At least I had to go see Godzilla. That's what I was doing instead of recording last week.
I saw Godzilla twice.
I saw it twice, too.
Oh. And IMAX, both times.
I saw it once, but it was in 4DX.
Well,
Ooh.
I got you both beat. I saw it in IMAX and 4DX.
Wow. You know what? Okay, well, I was going to say, there's tons of stuff that has come out since we last talked. Why don't we kick it off with Godzilla since we've already started? What did you guys think of Godzilla, King of the Monsters?
I loved it. I thought it was a perfect distillation of what people love about Godzilla.
Listen, a lot of people are complaining about Godzilla. The human aspect, of course, is never the greatest thing. I thought they still did good with this one. But here's the thing. That Godzilla movie was exactly what you expect from a Godzilla movie. Just enough explaining, just enough human interaction to get the story going, and it's all just leading up to a big ass battle, and it did not disappoint on that. If you are complaining about anything else with that movie, you don't really watch Godzilla movies. I mean,
yeah, well, I have a complaint, and I do watch Godzilla movies.
Oh.
As a huge fan of Rodan, he needs to fire his agent. Rodan is barely in the damn thing. I love what they did with Mothra. That was beautiful. But Rodan really needed more FaceTime. He almost was. What is that mammoth guy with the tusks? I know Jacob's got to know the name of that thing.
I think it's called the Behemoth.
The Behemoth. Rodan barely had more FaceTime than him.
Rodan had a big scene, though. He got to emerge out of the volcano and, do a barrel roll.
Also, spoiler alert, they set up for Rodan to come back for more, which is more than others got. So I just totally like to think that this is
too.
Rodan's introductory movie, and we're going to see more of him in the future. Meanwhile, it was a swan song for others.
Rodan was, after, the initial, I think all kaiju monsters fight when they initially meet, but after a while, Rodan and Godzilla were pals. And I think they kind of set that up. I think Rodan is going to turn into Godzilla's right-hand man in this new monsterverse. I don't know what that means for King Kong.
I thought you were going to have, the same type of complaints that a lot of people who are big fans of Godzilla's had, with what they did with the monsters. Like, when did King Ghidorah ever control the weather? Why did Mothra cocoon under a waterfall? And, Rodan was actually in the previous movies killed by volcanoes twice. So why is Rodan suddenly in this mythology, or this version of Godzilla, emerging from it? Those were the big complaints that longtime Godzilla fans had. And to that, I always remind them, remember that one Godzilla movie where he fought Mechagodzilla and became magnetic for 5 minutes and then never was magnetic ever again?
Or remember that time he fought Megalon and was able to do a gliding kick twice?
He did it twice.
Yeah, the thing to keep in mind is me and Jonathan were at the Godzilla-thon at the Egyptian Theater, so we got to see a bunch of Godzilla movies from the 60s and 70s, and really there's no par for course.
12 hours.
It was a fun time. But yeah, just
it was an endurance test.
It was, because those 60s and 70s Godzilla movies got weird, and it's just it really, that's the thing though. King of the Monsters really captured the beats of those era of Godzilla movies. It's like there's a team of scientists, humans, there's Godzilla, there's evil monsters. It just kind of falls in line.
I had no problem with the human element, and I had no problem with the deviations they took in the monster behaviors or origins or whatever, but I wanted to see more Rodan. The 4DX experience, let me talk about that for a second.
That was fun.
if you haven't done 4DX, it's basically like Star Tours for the whole run of a movie. Like the seats move, it'll blow wind in your face, it'll spit water at you. At one point, and I was wondering where the hell the water's coming from. There's a rain scene and water's dropping from the roof. And I'm like, is this coming from like the back of my seat? But then one of the theater guys goes, no, look up when the lights are on. There are pipes up there. We drop rain on you. And it's the seats moving. I guess there are two different settings. There's like, high and low. And my theater must have been on high because I was getting whiplash from those damn seats shaking. But 4DX, Godzilla King of the Monsters is exactly the kind of movie that 4DX was invented for, honestly.
Pet Sematary was not.
Did you see that in 4DX?
I saw Pet Sematary in 4DX, and that movie has so many, like, kind of floating aerial shots that, like, I was nauseous for most of the movie because the seat's just, like, slowly floating, and it's just like, why is this doing this right now? But there were a few key scenes where it was awesome.
One of the previews that I saw before Godzilla was Fast and Furious Shaw and Hobbs or Hobbs and Shaw, whatever that one's going to be. And did that show before your 4DX?
No.
You would have known if it did because the seat movements corresponded to the damn soundtrack. So it was almost like the audience is dancing along to this, lowrider beat that's going on. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me right now? I know. Okay, so Godzilla gets thumbs up from all of us. Let's move on to Brightburn. Either of you guys see Brightburn?
I did.
Yeah.
Wow, another one that all three of us have seen. What do you think about? I can't figure out why they didn't screen Brightburn for press because it is pretty awesome. I thought Brightburn was great.
Yeah, I dug it. They were probably just nervous because it is a weird mashup because it's a superhero movie, but it's also a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I loved Brightburn. It's a great addition to holy shit, my child is evil genre. Like The Omen and the Good Son, movies like that. And I think that's really what it was. But it had like the backdrop of Superman's origin, and I loved it so much, especially that ending. That third act was pretty fucking phenomenal, and I can't wait for a sequel, mainly because I just want to see, like, a young teenager villain just trying to find his way without any support. Like, I think that sounds cool. Not to mention the little Easter eggs in the during the credit scenes.
Yeah.
I know that like movies like the Paranormal Activity movies and the Saw movies, they won't screen for press because they know people are going to come to those already. They know they're like, there's a built-in audience. Now this, I don't know. The only thing that it had that would have a built-in audience is James Gunn. And there's
Which
been
he
a
just
lot
produced.
Well,
right?
yeah, he produced. Yeah. But it's, I can't get into their heads of why they would not really bury it, but they didn't really push it to the press, and I don't know why, because it's terrific.
Dude, that glass scene with the eyeball,
and it was so gory. The scene in the truck, also, you're like, oh my god, yeah. We don't want to say too much to spoil the gore scenes, but oh my god, there are two out of the 3 kills are absolutely horrific. 2 out of the 3 main ones, I should say, because there's more than that.
Like, they were so intense that like the audience audibly like groaned and cringed, which is a great indicator of a horror movie when you get such an audible reaction from a whole audience. Like, I was with a good crowd, and we were all just like, ooh.
And maybe that's why they didn't preview it. Maybe they wanted to keep reactions like that to be genuine. They didn't want expectations going in, because then things like that take you completely by surprise. Because it took me by surprise when it went there. I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is where we're going?" It doesn't seem like that kind of movie, but yeah, it's a pretty brutal movie. But yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I really dug it. And great cast too. Like, I thought Elizabeth Banks was really good in it.
Well, her and Gunn have been wanting to work together for a long time, just couldn't find a project.
Since Slither.
Right.
So, all right, let's move on to one that I think is going to be a little... Brightburn, I think, is 3 thumbs up from us, too.
Yep.
Let's move on to one that I think is going to be a little more divided. let's move on to Ma.
I still got to see that.
Oh, you didn't see Ma? Okay, so we're gonna counterpoint Ma here with me and Korea. I thought Ma was terrific. It's kind of along the same lines as Greta with Isabelle Huppert and The Intruder with Dennis Quaid. It's like you've got Octavia Spencer just having so much fun playing this crazy ass stalker lady. And it was everything that I wanted from it. I mean, I didn't expect too much from it. And the thing is, I've heard a lot of complaints, people saying, oh, all the twists are in the trailer. It's like, no, they're not. I mean, there is one scene I wish they didn't show in the trailer, which is the one with the jogger, if you've seen the trailer. I wish that would have been a more fun shock to see. But I don't know. I had a lot of fun with Ma. I had to make a decision between seeing Ma or Godzilla. And I think I made the right decision because I saw Ma first, and then I shelled out the money to see Godzilla in 4DX, which they didn't. The press screening wasn't in 4DX. So I think I made the right decision. Okay, let's hear it about Ma.
Well, I'm so glad you didn't pay for your viewing of Ma. Listen, I know I always sound like a crotchety a-hole when I don't like a movie that much. Ma wasn't a bad movie. Ma was, for me at least, and yeah, no, they showed most of that movie in the trailer. That's not a complaint on the movie. That's a complaint on whoever made the trailer.
But they didn't, though. There were twists that aren't even alluded to in the trailer.
There was, but they didn't go anywhere with them. Like, there was so many, and this happens a lot with a lot of Blumhouse movies, that I've been noticing lately, is that they'll introduce some cool ideas and then not really follow through with them fully. So, like, example, the original Purge. They present this cool idea that murder is legal and all this stuff, and then they contain it into this home invasion story, which is later rectified when they further explored in the sequels. But to present ideas, or Happy Death Day, when they present the idea, oh, every time she comes back, she's injured from the previous time. That's dropped like almost immediately after it's introduced. With Ma, there was a lot of aspects to it that were introduced and then were dropped very quickly. The whole thing with, what was her name? Gertie, the girl in the wheelchair.
I don't remember her name, but yeah.
The girl in the wheelchair, she's not seen in the trailers. That's one of the twist things. She's kind of introduced, and then they kind of do nothing really with her, except for like maybe towards the end. But even then, it's like a barely thing. There's just like not a whole lot given. It just felt like there was a lot of punches that were pulled. Like they didn't go hard into Ma being stalkery. Like, yeah, she was creepy for a lot of it, but also there were points where like the kids were like, all right, we're not going to hang out at Ma's. And then like the next scene is like a huge party at Ma's. And it's like, what?
Well, it wasn't those kids though. It was at that point, the basement had become the party pad, but that circle of friends weren't hanging out at Ma's.
But then they did for Chaz's birthday.
They got suckered into it. Yeah. I was just thinking it's weird that like, does today's teenage generation, would they do that? I mean, because my generation, if some old lady said, come back and party in my basement, we'd be all, you know?
Even if she had alcohol and drugs and stuff?
No, we would not. That's the stuff that urban legends are made of.
I don't know. I mean, I was pretty dumb. My friends used to chug Robitussin, so I tried once. I just got sleepy. Had a great nap though. Meanwhile, my buddy thought he was John Bottom and had to do a 30-minute drum solo. But so I don't know about that aspect of it. But there was just like a lot of stuff where it was for me it was very predictable. A lot of stuff going, and then when you finally get to like the crazy bits that they show in the trailer, the guy getting his face painted, the woman getting her lips sewed and stuff, that was it. It was all of that was shown in the trailer, and then little was done more. Like I wanted to see more of Ma's world. Like why, like the whole Munchausen thing, the whole. I will give it this. Ma was very original in having a horror villain that, you know, was wronged as in their youth and comes back many years later to seek revenge. You know, that's super original and not.
Are you being sarcastic?
I'm being so sarcastic right now.
Because that's what they all do. Okay.
It's just like, Jesus, that was like 20 movies in the 80s. Like Jamie Lee Curtis was in at least 2 of them back in like 84 alone.
Well, again, you're kind of spoiling it by saying that's what it is.
Is it though?
Well, enough for me to edit this part out because this movie's brand new.
Well, I mean,
don't want people
cut out the spoilers if you need to, but I'm just saying, like, could you not see that from a mile away? And also, they showed it in the trailer with Juliette Lewis going, "Oh, hey, I went to high school with her."
I didn't pay that enough attention to the trailer, so I don't know. But
anyways, spoiler-free part. I just found the movie very predictable. It's not a bad movie. I'm not gonna dissuade anyone from seeing it. Just for me, I was very bored. There was a few awesome moments. Octavia Spencer, was really good, very creepy in it. I just wish they didn't pull punches so much with it. I wish they did more with her character, dove into it, and let her do a little bit more extreme stuff,
I don't know. I thought that she got pretty extreme in places, but again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Speaking of extreme, did either of you guys watch The Perfection on Netflix?
Yes, I did see that.
Oh my God.
I really dug it.
I did too. I loved it. It was kind of like David Lynch meets David Cronenberg.
Well, I'd say it was along the lines of Korean extreme movies, which I think the director said were an influence. Like Old Boys, Park Woo-chan. You
can see that in it too. Yeah, it's. And the thing, that's another one where you don't want to talk about it too much at all because there are surprises everywhere. And it kind of does that funny games thing every once in a while where it will pause, rewind, and then it'll show you what just happened, but from another character's point of view.
I do admit, it really did catch me off guard, and my jaw did drop a couple times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, the Perfection on Netflix.
Yeah. All you need to know is it's about what's the instrument called again? Like the
cello.
Cello, right?
It's a cello. Yeah.
It's about a master cello artist meeting another master cello artist in where were they again?
Were they in some Asian country?
Yeah, they were. I think they were in Hong Kong.
Vietnam,
I think they were in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And they meet each other, and stuff happens.
Yeah. Since, you all have Netflix or have your parents' Netflix password, so watch The Perfection because it'll basically be free.
And watch it before it gets spoiled for you because there's some twists and turns that'll blow your mind.
But okay. I thought you said before it gets pulled. Is there a controversy? What are they going to pull it? Okay, no. Before it gets spoiled. Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. In terms of movies, something I want to talk about is I got to see Jim Jarmusch's new zombie movie, The Dead Don't Die.
I saw it too.
Oh, what'd you think?
It is exactly what it is. It's a B movie with an A-list cast.
That is a good summation.
What'd you think about The Dead Don't Die?
I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. I thought it had a lot of charm to it, and the casting is what really what pushes it because you got all these amazing actors together doing a zombie movie, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And I was actually it was at the Arrow Theater with the pre-screening, and Jim Jarmusch was actually there, so it was interesting to get his perspective after the movie, because he said, he wanted it was in essence a large homage to the works of George Romero, and he. And the best part was that a lot of it was he just wanted to work with Tilda Swinton again, so he gave her that amazing role as the Scottish samurai mortician.
I kind of think of this as it's kind of like Mars Attacks in that there's just so many characters going on, and I was a little disappointed. I thought it was just kind of a little stupid with it. It wasn't, and the thing is, when it would get stupid, it would kind of wink to the camera, like, and this happens real early in the movie. It'll the theme song keeps coming back. There will be a CD of the theme song. Oh, look, the dead don't die. Or it comes up on the radio, and and the cops are listening. They go, "Hey, look, it's our theme song," kind of a thing. And that kind of meta wink to the camera comes back later, and it actually pays off hilariously.
Yeah, I love that bit.
But so I think that Jarmusch kind of was taking it, with his tongue in his cheek, and I'm making a zombie movie, so, but it is kind of funny. It does the Walking Dead thing. That's actually a good way to describe it. It's Walking Dead if Walking Dead happened in Twin Peaks.
Kind of, yeah.
Is kind of what it is. But it kind of does the Walking Dead thing where the last thing that the people are thinking about or doing, when they were turned into zombies, they're like, like Iggy Pop's zombie. He's one of the first zombies to come up, and he's all coffee.
Yeah.
So it's part of my not being too into it is going to be because I have so much zombie fatigue, so much. So it already started with a foot in the grave. Ha ha ha. See what I did there? With me anyway. But, I was a little disappointed, I'd say, with it.
I liked it. Again, having Jim Jarmusch actually be there for a Q&A probably helped put in perspective for me. But yeah, no, I feel like it was a fun kind of take on zombies. I mean, yeah, granted, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but he didn't really set out to do anything much different. And he's doing it in kind of honor of Romero and all those zombie filmmakers, and just for what it was, he wanted to make a zombie comedy. He made a pretty funny zombie comedy, in my opinion.
And it looked like actors lined up. I mean, Chloe Sevigny,
Steve Buscemi,
Selena Gomez, Steve Buscemi. I mean, everybody's in this damn thing. Yeah.
We could go on and on, just the sheer amount of people that are in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like everybody he's ever worked with, he just reached out to and said, "Hey, you want to be in my zombie movie?" And you've got like Tom Waits is in it.
Yes,
and it's funny because Tom Waits, the very beginning scene, before the opening credits come on. And you see like just his face like from bridge of the nose up, and I'm all, that's Tom fucking Waits. And then the opening credits come on, and it says the dead don't die, and then it's like name after name after name after name after name, and then finally it says and Tom Waits, and I go, yeah. Let's move on to another new release, which just came out. Which isn't really horror, but it's pretty dark, and I'm talking about Dark Phoenix. Have you guys seen Dark Phoenix?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm the only one then. It earns its name. It's dark, not only in tone, but in... I don't know what the deal is, because I had the same issue with Godzilla through a lot of it, and the damn last season of Game of Thrones. It's so darkly shot that you can't even see what is going on for half the dang movie. I'm like, really? And it's shot by the guy who did who shot Avatar. So it's a dude who knows his way around a camera. But I'm like, dude, just open that f-stop up a little. Dude, let us see some of this shit.
Well, let me ask you, so what did you think of the movie itself? Because it is the end of the X-Men Fox franchise.
It is a fitting end because there's some stuff that happens that kind of kills it, but it's not the Dark Phoenix saga that I mean, you read the comic books?
Oh yeah, I read the comics.
You'll probably be disappointed with at least the storyline part of it, because it is not they water it down, they take shortcuts, they change a bunch of stuff, and you're like, the only thing I think that's the same is how she becomes Phoenix. So it's pretty it's kind of a clunker there. But the thing is, and most critics I think agree with me that it's not that great, but then all the fans are kind of like coming to its defense. So we'll see what, everybody judge it for themselves, but it's I'm glad that they're gonna, if the X-Men come back, it's gonna be a complete reboot, because I think at this point they need it after Apocalypse and then this. I think that they kind of just need to hit the restart button.
Yeah, I was into it through Days of Future Past, but I wasn't really that interested in Apocalypse, and yeah, Dark Phoenix didn't really catch my attention, so...
Yeah, the cool thing about Dark Phoenix is my favorite X-Men character has always been Nightcrawler, and they make some pretty good use of him.
Oh,
so
good.
he gets to actually do something. It's kind of cool. It's not just, and part of that is there's no Wolverine.
Right.
I mean, not even like bit part Wolverine like Apocalypse. So they have to rely on other people. So it's and Quicksilver, is that his name?
Yeah.
I always get him mixed up with the Avenger. Is there an Avenger named Quicksilver?
That's the thing. They had this weird thing where in Avengers Age of Ultron they used Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch at the same time, but it was a different version, and the X-Men Fox franchise also used Quicksilver. So it was just one of those things because of the weird stuff between Marvel and Fox.
Is it the same character though?
It's the same character, just
he's been an X-Man and an Avenger then?
Yeah,
still have a lot of those guys, though, I
he's
guess.
been in both, and they can use Quicksilver. Back when the rights were all jumbled up, they could use him in the Avengers as long as they didn't make any reference to his Mutant Legacy, which is owned by Fox. And so that's where it got kind of screwy with it, but now it's all under the same umbrella. So.
It's all Disney now, so who cares? I mean, yeah.
I mean, we all should, but...
let's move on from that and move on to a special guest subgenre of the episode. What do you got, Korea?
Subgenre of the episode is Jacob's thing, and I'm kind of kicking myself for this one because I suggested it, y'all accepted it. Now I'm stuck with my actions. You reap what you sow. So this week we're talking about new metal horror or new horror and new horror.
And what is that?
It's possibly one of the worst. I mean, it's definitely one of the worst subgenres of music out there. If you're unfamiliar with what new metal is, let me give you a quick description because that's going to help you understand new horror. New metal was early 2000s metal that incorporated a lot of other stuff. So most of the time they would incorporate like a DJ or some techno into it. Sometimes that's where you got a lot more different subgenres. System of a Down is technically new metal in that they introduced a lot of political aspects to metal. Granted, they're not Linkin Park or Slipknot or Mudvayne, any of those. But let's put it this way. New metal is Limp Bizkit. If that doesn't sum up what we're talking about, I don't know what will. But new metal horror or new horror is a type of horror films that came out in the early 2000s. Some examples would be stuff like Jason X, where it was like horror but brought to a new level. A lot of them incorporated crappy slow-mo because they took too much inspiration from The Matrix, like House of the Dead. But yeah, some went on to become big franchises like Underworld and Resident Evil, So what are some other new metal horror films that you guys liked or can think of?
I will take any chance I can get to talk about Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, which was honestly one of the best things, and this is coming from someone who loves the movie. One of the best things is the soundtrack because it's got like Marilyn Manson and Godhead and System of a Down on it, and that's what I think of. That's what I immediately thought of when you brought this up, because it kind of epitomizes, like, there was that period, and it wasn't a long period. It was maybe like 5 years, but movies, like Disturb Me Behavior was another one where that one went a little more pop, along with The Faculty, where they put, they weren't all like new metal.
Well, I would say thematically and like a lot with what was happening in The Faculty was like a pre-new metal. Yeah. That and Event Horizon are good examples.
Yeah, The Faculty had that, I don't even remember the name of the band, but they had that cover of Brick in the Wall. Remember that?
Yeah. Dude, The Faculty soundtrack's dope.
Oh, it is.
There was a, at the beginning of, I think it's I Know You Did Last Summer, there was a cover of that Seals and Crofts song, that Summer Breeze song. I want to say it was Marilyn Manson that did it, but I'm probably wrong. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, but other tropes of new metal horror, they all have like that kind of like dark post-coloring scheme to it. Kind of like, although it was like right around, because that was right around the time Oh Brother Where Art Thou came out, where they colored everything green. And so you saw that a lot. There's a lot of sheenness, a lot of like kind of dirty, but also clean, like metallic natures to it. It's very Y2K, especially when you go back and watch like that first Resident Evil movie.
That I Know What You Did Last Summer. Sorry to interrupt. That I Know What You Did Last Summer. Summer Breeze. It was Typo Negative.
Oh, okay.
Which is about as new metal as you can get. Well, that was more industrial, but yeah. But see, you could see why I confused it with Marilyn Manson, because I think they're very similar.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
And I was going to say, speaking of Resident Evil, that is a good example of a new metal horror movie, and yeah, because like it did insert a lot of action in there, and like remember all the sweet slow motion action moves when they're like fighting a laser grid and like being surrounded by zombies.
Oh, lasers were a huge part of new metal horror. I mean, they were in Jason X, Resident Evil. I think I don't remember Ghost of Mars.
Ghost of Mars, I think, did have some lasers in there.
Okay, I am honestly trying really hard to remember Ghost of Mars. I haven't seen it in well over a decade.
Something I do remember from Ghost of Mars is that Ice Cube has... His character's name is Desolation Jones, and he has henchmen named Uno, Dos, and Tres. I swear to God.
That's so Batman.
Yeah.
Now, see, I just bought that new Blu-ray of it because it was dirt cheap. It was like $7, and I am not regretting that purchase right now. I might when I watch it, but...
Is his name Desolation Jones, you say?
Yeah.
So is he related to Motherfucker Jones from Baby Driver, or from Horrible Bosses?
Maybe.
I think he's a descendant of Cleopatra Jones, I think is what they were going for.
They're all related.
Maybe. Yeah. It's kind of a Django and Shaft situation.
And one of the antagonists in Dark Phoenix is named Jones. Although that's more of a shape-shifting alien thing, so they gave him just like a generic name, Jones.
But Ghosts of Mars. Honestly, I need to rewatch it, but I do remember it, and that was definitely a new metal horror movie because it had that kind. A lot of these movies had a very industrial aesthetic to them, and it's like on the Martian colony, and there's like all the construction gear, and I do feel like body modification, bodily mutilation seems to be a recurring theme through some of these, because in Ghost of Mars, like the people get possessed by Martians and they like pierce themselves and like mess themselves up, and there was a bit of that in Resident Evil. Like some of the zombies, I mean, not purposefully, but they did get kind of messed up. Like I remember there was one that was like impaled with a bunch of metal poles or something, and then it just kept on chasing after them. And of course, Event Horizon had a lot of mutilation.
Oh yeah, but I think Event Horizon and even Blade kind of set the ground for it, that mixture of like metal and techno, and aesthetically.
The opening for Blade was that the blood rave.
Oh, which I still would totally participate in. It looked like so much fun.
Yeah, didn't they recreate that at a nightclub a little bit ago?
I think a nightclub just said, fuck it, we're spraying fake blood over everybody. And it was in Germany, I believe.
Oh, right, it's Blade night at the nightclub, so they just sprayed fake blood on everybody.
Which, I've seen similar things, not with fake blood, but like paint parties and stuff at clubs in England. And, they just... it sounded messy.
Yeah.
But, some other ones. Dracula 2000, I would say, is another one. How to Make a Monster,
Oh, yeah.
And you could kind of see... Because that was a quick subgenre. That didn't last that long. But you could see its effects going into, like, the mid-2000s. Like, I would even say the remake of Dawn of the Dead is kind of like new metal on its way out. Yeah. Mostly because of its super unnecessary slow-mo shots. It's kind of like early 2000s rock soundtrack, Oh, and it did have Get Down with the Sickness, which was a new metal staple, except they did the what was it? The lounge version. Oh, yeah. By Richard Cheese. Yeah, wait, get what? Down with the sickness. Yeah, baby, get down with the sickness.
You're not down with Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine?
I have not heard of this. You guys have me in a corner here.
Dude, no, dig him up on YouTube. He basically will do like these basically pop songs or metal songs, but he'll do them like a lounge singer.
How did I not discover it? Because that's literally all I did in college.
Yeah, and how did you miss that in Dawn of the Dead? Like during that scene where they're all like messing around in the mall, like that's what it's set to.
Okay, the remake to Dawn of the Dead, I have seen twice. Once when it first came out, and once recently because I, Scream Factory and my collecting issues.
Right.
But yeah, that film it doesn't stick with me a lot of it. Anyways, so new metal horror or new horror is a subgenre that did not last long. It is legacy continues. To this day, I mean, Underworld and Resident Evil, like, we're still going up until, like, a couple of years ago, maybe. But ultimately, it's a subgenre I'm okay with going down with the sickness and
let the body hit the floor.
Ooh,
All right, let's move on to our regular topic, which I have to admit, well, I guess Kriya and I were talking about this. Our regular topic is going to be collecting. And Kriya and I were we decided that we've got the three bases covered here because I don't really consider myself a collector. I'm more of a completionist. Like if there is like a TV series or a movie series or something, I will want to own every movie in there, but I don't consider myself, I don't go out after every Scream Factory collector's edition or I guess the closest would be Criterion, but even then, yeah, I'm never going to own every single Criterion. I'm an accidental collector. Jacob is more of the practical collector. How did you put it, Korea, with his
he's like the moderate, I would say.
Yeah. I take the middle path.
Yeah, well, I mean, in comparison to me, and you're the healthy collector. You know,
that's how you put it. You call him the healthy collector. Yeah,
you stick within your budget. You get titles that you know and you want, and you blind buy, but you do your research behind them, right? Mm-hmm. And you do stuff like you go out to screenings before purchasing.
Yep.
And then you got me, who's basically a hoarder.
Yeah, the guy who's going to buy a movie that he hates because it's a Scream Factory collector's edition, Green Inferno.
It's only that one. Listen, it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this. You know, I started off as a, barely collector, as an accidental, as just getting a few titles, and then I became a healthy one, and then it just grew. And the Scream Factory thing was especially an accident. I was just getting all the titles that I wanted, and then there was I heard this movie's good. I've never heard of Prison. I want to check out Prison. Might as well get it with the slipcover. Oh, now I have all the Scream Factory collector's editions with slipcovers. Why stop now? So and when we're talking about collecting, we're mostly talking about home videos release, because if we start getting into other stuff, oh man, that could go.
Posters,
toys. What is it about the cult and horror, all this sci-fi, all the genres that's about collecting? We love collecting shit. Let's put it that way. We just love it. We love getting, not only an action figure of Jason Voorhees, but we want to get the cute plushie with it. We want that new Blu-ray that has an interview with the guy who was the janitor in one scene,
And when it comes to like you said, and I know we said we weren't going to talk about toys, but when it comes to like action figures, Jason Voorhees is a perfect example, because there will be 12 movies. Yeah. And then there's the Nintendo, the NES guy, the purple and turquoise one. I mean, there's so many different iterations. So, I mean, you could blow paychecks, on NECA stuff alone if you really got into that.
And I do think it's interesting that we talk about collecting specifically horror on home video, because, physical media, unfortunately, has taken a downturn with the advent of streaming and the internet. But of all movies on physical media, perhaps one of the strongest is horror and cult media. Like, people still collect it in droves. Yeah. Like, there are specific labels for horror and cult that are pretty big. Scream Factory, Vinegar Syndrome, Severance, and more. So
nobody's collecting romantic comedies.
Yeah.
There's no romantic comedy label.
Yeah, and action movies will be released, but usually just, slapdashed onto a Blu-ray with not really any bells and whistles.
Unless you're Die Hard, in which case they released the Nakatomi Tower set, which is the envy of all collections.
Or if it's something like 10 to Midnight, where they release it under the guise of being a horror movie.
I mean, it kind of is, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah.
I think Cobra was more of a stretch for Scream Factory on that one.
Yeah.
Although Vice Squad, their upcoming Vice Squad release is really giving it a run for its money on.
No, is that Scream or is that Shout?
No, that's Scream. It's getting a Scream collector.
And Cobra is as well?
Cobra's already out, which is an awesome set.
Yeah.
I fucking love Cobra.
All right.
But like, what is it? Like, how many editions of Evil Dead are there out there? I mean, Jesus, when I was still collecting DVDs, there was at least 4 different ones there, and then come to Blu-ray, there's way more. And usually, like, Evil Dead 1 and 2 are like one of the first ones to get released on home video when a new format it comes out. I mean, it's already on 4K, both of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, whenever a new format comes out, I feel like Evil Dead 2 is one of the first horror cult movies to get the transfer. Like, that goes to the very beginning of my collecting, because when I was 13, I got my own TV for my room with a DVD player and a VCR. So I wanted to collect my own movies to watch, because back then, like, you know, I could only watch stuff that my family bought. So I decided to put my allowance toward buying my own movies I could watch. So I go to Best Buy, and the first 2 movies I buy are Evil Dead 2 and Big Trouble in Little China on DVD. That's how it all began.
Now, let me ask you guys these as the collectors of the bunch. Do you feel the need to own, like basically what they call double dipping, or in the like I joke with people that I've probably bought Night of the Living Dead at least a half dozen times, probably more over the years, because there's VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. But now, since that Criterion one came out, I feel like I've bought my last. For me, it has always been upgrading the release. And I feel like I bought my last version of Night of the Living Dead. Do you feel like, say, Evil Dead? If you're a big fan of Evil Dead, do you feel the need to own every single time you see, oh, this has different cover art? This is a special feature that's not on there. I mean,
as someone who's extremely guilty of this, I'm going to use, for example, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great example.
I believe I'm going to double check this real quick. I believe I own 4 copies of that on Blu-ray alone, not including when I bought it on the one time I bought it on DVD. But The Thing, it started for Blu-ray. It started with the Mondo release, the steelbook that Mondo put out that had a bare bones Blu-ray with it. And yeah, I own 4 different copies of The Thing. So I got the Mondo X Steelbook series, beautiful artwork, bare bones Blu-ray. And then Scream Factory announced they were doing a collector's edition with a brand new 2K transformation. But that was done with the original cinematographer. So that was like, okay, this is how the original DP wanted it done. This is how it should look. And then Arrow announced they were doing collector's edition with a 4K restoration. So I was like, well, shit, I got to get that one too, so I can see the difference between them two, plus beautiful artwork. And then Scream Factory announced a 3-disc steelbook with both versions in it. And that was just kind of like well, fuck me at this point, might as well. So I think it comes down to the titles. A lot of times for me, it's upgrading. But if it's like a title like The Thing, where it's something I love and it's something that, is great. If there's new special features, always does it for me. Even if I don't get the time to watch them, I have them at least. New artwork is always dope. I just upgraded my Cujo to Eureka's beautiful Blu-ray set. It's a lot of things, but it's a lot of impulse buys too. Gotta say, I have to admit.
For me, it'll be part of it is my OCD. Like an example would be Dexter. The series Dexter. I not only do I own all the seasons, but I actually own them on DVD because I started collecting them on DVD and I didn't want to. I wanted them all to be the same, so I did one. And when I bought the last season, it was actually kind of pissed me off. But I was at Target and buying that last season, and the cashier was kind of a dick. He's like, "Do you watch the show?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's all, "And you're still buying this last season?" And I'm like, well, yeah, because first of all, I'm a completionist, but second of all, fuck you.
Yeah.
What if I change my mind just because you're being a dick? I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go up the street and buy it.
See, I did the opposite. I sold all my Dexters by the time the last season came out. Like I was over. Oh,
the lumberjack into the hurricane pissed you off that much? That's the best tweet I've seen about the Game of Thrones finale. They're like, oh, these people are complaining like they've never seen Dexter ride into a hurricane and resurface as a lumberjack or whatever.
Yeah,
or
geez.
They've never seen, 9 seasons of a TV show only to have the mom be introduced in the last episode and killed off in the same episode too, to make it a ploy to hook up with the aunt. Looking at you, How I Met Your Mother.
And lest we forget, turns out everybody was waiting to go into heaven or something without any explanation. Lost.
No, Lost was the biggest. See, with Line, we're getting off track here, but with Lost, that was never supposed to go that long. That was supposed to be like a 1 season thing, and then they got renewed. So I think they were scrambling for storylines with Lost. But anyway.
But also, screw all of you. I gave myself a stick and poke of the hero symbol. So don't talk to me about being disappointed with how a series goes. Like, fuck all of you.
Anyway,
I'm stuck with my decision.
What was it? Save the cheerleader, save the world.
Can't you change it to a Brightburn symbol or something?
I don't know. I don't even think it, because I was 17 and drunk off of like dollar vodka, and it's on my ankle. I think I screwed it up. It could mean anything, you know. So I'm just a white person with a Japanese symbol. It could mean asshole for all I know. I kind of hope it does, because that's better than having to explain to people, oh yeah, no, it's a symbol from Heroes. That was a good weekend binge watching that whole first season.
And then giving yourself a stick and poke.
Back to the topic. But yeah, it's insane, because with our genre, you know, cult, horror, sci-fi, all of that, we also have more specialty shops. I mean, there's no entire bookstores dedicated to romantic comedy. There's no entire action, you know, comedies or anything like that stores around. But you walk around, especially like here in LA, in Burbank, there's Dark Delicacies, there's the Bearded Ladies, there's 3 different Halloween Town stores on the same block. Like, it's insane how much love is put out there, not only for people to buy, but for people to make. You go online, there's tons of Etsy projects that people make. People make Return of the Living Dead scented candles, you know, or like killer clowns from outer space Christmas ornaments. It's a great time to be a horror collector, but it's also insane to think about. There's also entire documentaries about people who collect specific things. I've seen shorts about people who collect gremlin displays, or prop pieces from Creepshow is one of the special features on this Creepshow Blu-ray for Scream Factory. But what I don't know if we'll be able to answer this today, but what is it about our genre that makes us want to buy all this stuff?
I think it's just devotion. People who love horror, and part of it is probably they want to support it, but other part of it is they just want to have it. You know, they just want to have it on their shelves.
And I think another factor in there is availability, because keep in mind, you know, just a lot of these movies were hard to find back in the day, you know, between rights issues and availability and, you know, a time before streaming, which was one of and still is probably one of the big factors of why I collect, because I can't tell you how many titles in my collection were or have become out of print and near impossible to find by now. So yeah, you know, I just love to revisit these stories. So you know, and that's the appeal of physical media, because stuff can get pulled from streaming on Netflix, and stuff can go out of print. But if you own it, then you can just watch it whenever, however.
Especially now, lately, they've even been there have been rumors about stuff leaving people's digital libraries. Like, people are saying, wait, I could have swore I had The Fox and the Hound, but it's not there anymore. It's like, that's pretty shady. If you buy something digitally, that should be yours. But apparently they can reach their dirty little hands into your digital library and take it back.
Yikes.
Well, it's all rights when it comes to that. If iTunes no longer has the rights to it, that's why iTunes couldn't sell the Beatles. Any Beatles music for the longest time. Remember when that finally hit iTunes and everyone freaked the fuck out?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, I get to buy the Beatles again.
It's fine. Okay, if you lose the rights, stop selling it. But for you to take it back, when somebody's already bought it, at least refund them. You know, but even then, that's kind of shady. That's like, you know, that was a purchase. That was not a rental. That was not a lease. That was a purchase. This person... although I guess digital, it's all leases anyway, because if Vudu suddenly goes out of business, I guess we would have movies anywhere. But, you know, you're kind of, people are panicking that UV's shutting down, even though it's not going to really make much difference unless you share your library with like 8 different people.
Right.
Yeah. So, before we head out on this topic, what is one of your like biggest money pit thing that you bought that genre? Like, what was that action figure that you had to have that was like, you know, a couple hundred, or that Blu-ray, or do you guys have any?
I don't have anything because I'm not much of a collector, but I did at one point, and this was to tell you how long ago this was. It was I once on eBay bought a VHS copy of Last House on the Left for $30, and that was before you could get it. I mean, it wasn't available. It was even out of print on VHS. So that was my big splurge. But I can tell you right now, the coolest thing I have in my collection is a DVD of Alone in the Dark, the 1982 Jack Shoulder slasher, because that is out of print on all fronts, and I keep, you know, every time someone will listen, I beg for labels to, and if anybody's listening now, Alone in the Dark, because I will be the first one to upgrade from my Blu-ray. But that's the one that if you look on Amazon, that it goes for like well over $100, and I think I might have paid $5.99 for it back when it was in print.
Nice.
As for me, I guess the last time I went to Vinegar Syndrome's headquarters and store, the Archive in Bridgeport, Connecticut, was they were doing their Black Friday sale, and yeah, I got their titles from that one, Cutting Class, The Children, and Mausoleum with the slipcover, so I was pretty happy about that. But while I was there, I also discovered they had a couple of Arrow limited releases that I had wanted, that I splurged on. The Django Special Edition set with Texas Adios, and the Donnie Darko limited, like 3-disc set. And I'm glad I got that, because Django, like there was like an issue with the rights with Arrow, and that thing went out of print like almost immediately, so I was lucky to have gotten it when I had the chance. And I guess in terms of horror stuff, one of my personal favorites in my collection is the Steelbook Blu-ray of Popcorn from Synapse Films, because that was a favorite of mine for a long time on Netflix, like way back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and then it went off and I couldn't find it anymore because like there was like one shoddy DVD and that was hard to come by. So I shelled out for that Steelbook, and I watch it every now and again. So,
well, for me, purchasing something at an exuberant price because it was out of print, there's two that come to mind. One was Arrow's initial release for Thief. I got at Amoeba for like $100. That had two different cuts of it.
Not really. And then Criterion released it.
Yeah, but this one was dope. It had two cuts of it. So, and it's a beautiful set. But my recent one was I did drop a sizable amount of money for Godzilla versus Biolot.
Ooh.
Yeah, that like bare bones Miramax release. Dropped $120 on it.
Damn, nice.
Ooh.
But I have to complete my Godzilla collection. It's that completionist mindset. Yeah, once you start, especially once I decided I wanted all the Godzilla movies, that was a dark road to go down. I mean, I think I spent $10 to get Son of Godzilla digitally in standard definition. That was rough.
Yeah.
Those were rough times.
All right, let's call it a day on collecting here, and get the hell out.
Yeah.
Our music is Restless Spirit, so go collect them. And our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go collect his. He's shutting down his Etsy store, so track down Chris Fisher and get yourself some Chris Fisher artwork before. I mean, he's not retiring from art or anything. I think he's just, might be tired in his Etsy store, but I saw he posted something about everything must go. So yeah, if you want some Chris Fisher prints, now's the time. Go check him out. Me, James J. Edwards, you can find on Twitter at Cinema Ferite. That's like verite, but with fear. So it's Fearite. Where can we find you guys? Jacob?
You can find me on Twitter at @JacobDavison_. That is at JACOBDAVISON_.
And Korea?
And you can find me on all social medias, especially Instagram and Twitter, under Korean Barbecue. That's CORREIAN BBQ. And don't forget to follow iHorror on social medias as well, including Twitter, Facebook, and Stardust, as you'll see my ugly mug up there, posting every now and then about movies I recently watched, which you should be seeing a lot more titles thanks to that Vinegar Syndrome sale.
All right, and you can find all of us at the Eye on Horror Facebook page, or the iHorror Facebook page, or just go to iHorror.com and follow the trail. It'll get to us. We're not hard to track down if you really want to tell us what kind of a collector you are, and how the other two of us who are not the same collector as you are nuts.
Say that to my bank account.
Everybody make fun of Korea or say that I'm not a dedicated horror fan. Jacob is the perfect spot, I think.
I've found collecting Nirvana.
He's found collecting Nirvana. All right, so we're going to get out of here. So until next time, I'm James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Korea.
Keep your eye on horror.